Welcome to this series of readings of the Mechanization concept, a manifesto by the Great Divine Director. There are 22 parts to these releases by the Great Divine Director. He has asked that they be read in the order of their release. I am Caroline Hansky, the reader. The teachings were given by the Great Divine Director through the messenger Mark L. Prophet in 1965. Permission was granted for reading them and making them available to the general public in audio form. These readings are from Mark and Elizabeth Prophet, The Mechanization Concept, The Mysteries of God on the Creation of Mechanized Man, Pearls of Wisdom, Volume 8, Teachings of the Ascended Masters, Summit University Press, copyright Church Universal and Triumphant, 1965. They are also published as Mark L. Prophet, the Soulless One, Cloning a Counterfeit Creation, copyright 1965, 1980, 1981, Summit University Press. Why would you want to listen to and or read these releases? Because the message in them is as important now, or even more so, as when it was originally delivered. The message is serious and ought to be taken seriously. The mechanical, non-human creation, not created by God ones, are among us and have been for thousands of years. We have taken on their consciousness to some degree and must free ourselves from it. Prayer and working on our psychology are two ways of doing this. But first we must be aware of what the mechanical consciousness is. These releases by the Great Divine Director are for this purpose. What makes this so relevant at this time? If you are following the news of the development of robots for every conceivable purpose, then is it not curious that this is made to seem a new development? As these current robots are portrayed, they are obviously mechanical. Yet, just as obvious from the Great Divine Director teachings is the fact that the robots that have been on the earth for thousands of years appear like humans. We don't know the difference. Then why is it important to make us think this is a new advanced development? Something to ponder. The Great Divine Director is a cosmic being with many offices in the spiritual hierarchy. For example, he is a member of the karmic board in which he represents the first ray of God power. He is known as the Great Divine Director because he has merged his consciousness with the cosmic cycles of God's divine plan for untold universes of light. Great Divine Director is a title of an office in the cosmic hierarchy, given to the one who, by virtue of diligent application over the eons, focuses within his causal body the formula of the ascension for the children of God and the sons and daughters of the Most High evolving in this cosmos. The causal body is the spiritual part of us in which is stored our attainment, all merit we have ever accrued, our treasures stored in heaven. The Great Divine Director's causal body is a giant blue sphere that surrounds the entire planet. Thus his attainment of cosmic consciousness qualifies him to ensoul the flame of divine direction on behalf of Earth's evolutions and untold lifeways beyond. The Great Divine Director long ago passed those initiations that placed him at cosmic levels of service and qualified him to become the Manu of the seventh root race. A Manu embodies the archetype for an entire life wave of souls who will incarnate on Earth at a certain period, including the divine image and likeness out of which they are made and the pattern of their destiny. The seventh root race is destined to embody first in South America under the Great Divine Director, and so he presides spiritually over the continent of South America. He is then the lawgiver and sponsor of the seventh root race, the one who holds the blueprint for the entire race of the souls who begin their embodiment in the age of Aquarius that is now dawning. Godfrey Ray King, author of the book, The Magic Presence, describes the Great Divine Director in it. This majestic being stood fully 6 feet 4 inches in height, with wavy hair that fell to his shoulders and looked like sunshine on gold. His robes glittered with points of light like jewels that flashed continually with the tremendous radiance of the power held under his control and obedient to his conscious direction. The girdle encircling his waist was a mass of sapphires and diamonds. From it hung a panel to a few inches below the knees. This also was a mass of jewels. End of quote. The great divine director has said, I pray that you will call to me, for I have within my consciousness the scroll of the divine plan for every living soul on Terra and in the vast beyond. The Mechanization Concept, a manifesto by the Great Divine Director, Part D, Discrimination. The Mechanization Concept, The Mechanization Concept, a manifesto. The Mechanization Concept, a manifesto by the Great Divine Director, Part D, Discrimination. To Planet Earth, an emancipation proclamation to free mankind from the monstrous mechanization concept by Christly discrimination through law of exact manifestation. The carnivorous appetites of mankind, deemed a necessity by contemporary man, stem from his long and successive engagement with material substance, and from the so-called natural habitat of man and his correlated development of behavior patterns. The present quality of adaptability inherent in nature is the direct result of the original divine plan patterned in the beginning. Man, in his attempt to wrest control from nature, either by direct intent or through ignorance, has confluently altered that original pattern. Contemporary men find it most distasteful to consider that they are imbibing the content of a poisoned draught, but this is the direct result of their own contamination of nature in ages past. For most individuals presently embodied on earth have at one time been a part of this alteration of which we speak. This discomfiture is understandable when viewed from the level of mankind's comfortable and accepted concepts, which vary from Occident to Orient. However, it is our studied opinion that the self-same various dissatisfactions with current accomplishments, or lack thereof, have caused contemporary man to search for new vistas of the Spirit and for a greater understanding of the manifold mysteries of divine grace. When viewed casually, life discloses only its most obvious secrets, and yet often the heart of a child has possessed greater wisdom than that released from the mouth of a sage. Did not the prophet Isaiah declare, "And a little child shall lead them"? Woe, then, to those who are lured by mortal concepts to a state of unnatural quietude wherein they are content to mechanically accept conditions as they are, particularly when those conditions are representative of unfortunate habits which do not give to mankind his God-intended freedom. It must be borne in mind that the reason behind this release of our words and the substance of divine love we send herewith to the planet Earth is to send forth into the world of form an emancipation proclamation for and on behalf of the spiritual energies of mankind, which shall free them from matrices of wrong thought and feeling. I cannot deny that an old and familiar situation may seem most comfortable to the outer man, nor can I deny that of necessity various so-called unpleasant sensations or situations may be encountered when man's spiritual eyes are first opened. But after all, blessed ones, would you prefer to live in a hapless debris of unregenerate energy, when by a little effort you might drink the draught of ascended master love, receive the compassion of the enlightened ones, hold in divine truth the hand of the risen Christ, and ultimately free yourselves from the monstrous millstones of civilization, learning thereby to enjoy the pathway of holiness in a proper manner, while teaching others also to find the way which leadeth unto eternal life? One of your poets has said, "They cannot die, for they have not yet lived." And I think that it is in this sense that men ought to begin to live, by discarding mechanical patterns of behavior which result in their disenfranchisement of spiritual power and freedom. Now, the merciful karmic deferment practiced at times by the Karmic Board has caused some recalcitrant individuals to take license for a continuation of their bad conduct. Beloved mankind, the mercy of the great law does not always bring immediately to the doorway of every man the full impetus of his wrong acts. A certain portion of men's most negative karma, likewise, is restrained or deferred by the hand of mercy from reacting fully upon them as a cumulative release. The lords of karma prefer to level off the karmic peaks and bring up the karmic valleys so that every retribution may become a contribution to the well-being of man. However, the mercy of the great law is often not reckoned with, nor is it recognized by mankind who, heedless of this blessed law, continue to quickly pursue the path of downward action. It is true, blessed ones, that dispensations of a personal nature have occasionally been vouchsafed by the Karmic Board to devoted individuals serving the light, enabling them to have greater freedom from past karma, in order that they might more quickly win their freedom, and then, if necessary, pay those karmic debts from higher levels and dimensions of service to mankind and to the earth. Simply because some individuals seem to escape from the adjustment of karmic law ought not to embolden any to act in an improper manner, for the law is very just and very exact in its requirements. And I tell you, blessed ones, there is no portion of energy so minute that when it is qualified either with negation or the blessed power of positive good, does not return to the feet of the one sending it out for blessing or redemption. Now, this discussion poses to mankind the problem of the mechanics of nature and the mechanics of cosmic law. We do not attempt to deny, but rather do we affirm the action of cosmic law, not as mechanistic, but as the law of exact manifestation, possessing the quintessence of the 5 acts of essential divine grace: mercy, justice, compassion, consolation, and wholeness or completion. It is here that we draw the razor's edge across the mechanistic concept and call to your attention that, in nature as well as in nature's God, inherent grace embodies many of the qualities of God, such as discrimination of Christ intelligence and the great purity of the law. The lords of karma are able, therefore, to bestow upon the soul of the thirsty and the needy the water of life and the garment of white linen, the vestments of spiritual purity, and at last full attainment. Beloved ones, the mind of God is alive, electric, vital. This is the Father's business, referred to by beloved Jesus in many of his statements. Wished ye not that I must be about my Father's business? To be about the Father's business is to be free from the sense of a mere mechanical action, or of the thought about following a prescribed road of the law. To act in harmony with the Father is to emulate divine grace. It is to possess the faculty of engaging one's being in the so-called battle of life, the struggle for the survival of the light of the soul submerged in the density of matter, by following the path of righteousness for his name's sake. I am, and walking through the valley of the shadow, while steadfastly holding on to the staff of your own attention upon the Divine One, and maintaining an awareness of the common needs of both God and man. The needs of man are for divine grace, and the needs of God are for a channel through which to express that grace. This is never a mechanical action, but is ever an action of divine love, whereby the very soul of God embraces the soul of man. And in this enclosure, this spiritual cloister, this consecrated spiritual marriage, a divine man-child, born of this holy union, will set the temple of God in perfect order. It shall be done. I am lovingly your exponent of heaven's enfolding grace, the great divine director.